So we're in stand 2. I call this pasture. This is what we would call an unimproved pasture, which means it's kind of allowed to go fairly fallow. You can see a couple of horses in the distance, so this is an unimproved horse pasture. Certainly it was originally managed in tall fescue, which is a mat-forming grass. It's a non-native cool season grass that forms a dense mat at ground level, and it restricts animal movement. It also creates what we call arrested succession, so it prevents other native or even non-native grasses and forbs from being able to germinate in the seed bank, because it actually suffocates those species. In this case, you will see some fallow vegetation, you might call it. Here's dog fennel coming up. This is called wing stem. These are two species that provide structure for wildlife, but really there's not a lot of food value. These actually aren't even something I would recommend. They're not allowed in your plant collection because they're not on the list, because they don't have a lot of food value. There is some forage for white-tailed deer out here. Certainly deer don't eat grasses, as you should know, but there are some other forbs that deer will eat. There's also potential structure for fawns. I would say the structure for nesting turkeys or bobwhite or many other wildlife is going to be poor because of that real dense grass. And you can see the grass over here. You can see it on the ground, that dense fescue that is creating that mat that restricts movement. There are some birds that actually favor these kinds of conditions. We call those grassland birds. So grasshopper sparrows and eastern meadowlarks will thrive in this environment if the patch of grassland, or pasture in this case, is large enough. So they typically need to be at least 50 acres. If you're going to manage for a diverse wildlife community, other than those couple of grassland species, you're going to need to come in and kill the tall fescue with a herbicide. You can just spray Roundup, which is glyphosate, in the fall, and then it will actually release the native seed bank to germinate, and then you can manage that community however you'd like in the future, depending on your focal species. If your focal species were shrubland species, you want to manage the community to stay as a shrubland. If you were looking for more herbaceous plants, you would want more frequent disturbance to promote herbaceous plants. In some part like the dog fennel, but you want to remove that fescue mat. So then the dog fennel is the overhead umbrella cover, and then at the ground level there'll be bare ground so the critters can move about underneath that umbrella cover. So that's that.